We're going to bring you live pictures on the screen as they happen. But joining me now with reaction to my opening statement and much more is author and conservative columnist Ann Coulter. All right, Ann, welcome. And, you know, Ann, you are very much a part of this whole topic because, although I didn't talk much about it, they tried to stop you from speaking at Berkeley and did.
Well, yeah, and I've been subjected to leftist violence for about 20 years now. I mean, you and I need bodyguards. My bodyguard, my longtime bodyguard, in fact, died a year ago today, not from leftist violence. It was a freak accident. But I mean, I have to go around with bodyguards. Michael Moore doesn't. Bill Maher doesn't. Chelsea Handler doesn't. No, the left has always been the violent one. This has historically been true. I wrote about it in my book, Demonic. I can't thank you enough for talking about this. Every presidential assassination in U.S. history, so, you know, we only have about 225 years we're looking at, has, if it had a political motive, it was from someone on the left. Every single one. Some were just totally crazy. And yes, sometimes there are crazy people.
Right.
But the left is constantly ginning their side up to be violent. I mean, the Antifa is one of the latest incarnations of this. There was Occupy Wall Street, the WTO protests, Black Lives Matter, the Weathermen, the Weather Underground.
You can
just go on and on and on. Look, any liberal can show up on a college campus. Any liberal can show up at Liberty University. They would be treated with utmost respect. People like us can't walk around many parts of this city without having bodyguards with us. They think they are justified in attacking us. Not only now, how does the left gin it up? They call us fascists. They call us haters. They call us white supremacists and Nazis. And what does our side, Republicans, Mitt Romney and Marco Rubio say? They say, yes, well, one side are fascists and the other side are fighting fascists. Our side is condoning the violence against people like me.
But, you know,
and even forget me, how about Charles Murray? How about that liberal biology professor out at Evergreen State? He disagreed with something. He's called a racist, and the police say they won't protect him.
Well, let me just remind our viewers that what you're looking at, as I'm talking to Ann Coulter here, is the president's arriving in Vietnam. It's morning there, and there are ceremonies there, I believe, in Hanoi at the palace. But, Ann, let's talk about the Tea Party. For years, the Tea Party was blamed as this violent organization. The most I ever heard, as I recall, was that, and it's horrible if it's true, was that there was a racial slur, although I don't know if anything came. Well, they say it's disproved, but I never heard. $100,000 reward that was to go, and nobody was ever violently hurt by someone in the Tea Party because of their and yet right now we still have that echo of the Tea Party being racist. But what is going on in this country? What can we do to make it clear these people can't do this anymore?
No, I mean, the country is in a civil war, and frankly I wish the president were back in this country dealing with it and not.
Well, we got to deal with the rest of the world, too.
But in fact, at the Tea Party rallies, well, for one thing, they were all families. They'd leave the park cleaner than when they showed up. But Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi, they would call them, oh, they're dangerous, they're right-wing extremists, they're full of hate. There was parents with their kids. I mean, that does tend to be more conservative. My own case to the contrary, conservatives do tend to be married with children, and that's who they're bringing into these Trump rallies, where Trump ralliers were set upon. At the Tea Parties, conservatives were attacked by left-wingers setting upon the Tea Partiers. But this has always been the case. The left is constantly in search of some right-winger someplace engaging in violence. But to the extent it happens, to the extent you can find one someplace, it would be like right now talking about the problem of women sexual predators in Hollywood. Yeah. Maybe you can find one. Maybe you can find one right-winger out there. But that's not what the problem is.
Well, let's talk about the fact that there's this liberal outlet that mocked Rand Paul and the vicious beating he took. So irrespective of whether there was a political motivation, we don't know. The feds are investigating it. But some splinter writer argues that the type of injuries Paul suffered, 6 broken ribs, compared to how small his attacker was, means that Paul has weak bones and he needs to drink more milk. How pathetic is that?
No, they laugh. I mean, if if you or I were hit with a baseball bat, Sarah Palin hit by a baseball bat, they would laugh. It would be funny to them. By the way, this is the second time Rand Paul has been physically attacked by a liberal when he was campaigning the first time. It was a famous incident. That woman, crazy woman, ran at him with a sign. He's just like trying to wave to his supporters.
Oh, I do remember
fans,
this now.
you wonder why we're not that friendly to you. We don't know if they're fans or not. Is running up to him. His fans pull her back. She makes another run for it. They pull her back again, put her on the ground, and say, "Stay down." One guy puts his foot on her shoulder. That became the head stomping incident.
Right, but
except there was no head stomping. This is the second time Rand Paul has been physically attacked. And by the way, if Rand Paul isn't telling us what the motive was because he's trying to be a magnanimous John McCain type, you better word to the wise. Everybody thinks there's something nefarious going on. Apparently, it's not an affair because the guy I've read that his liberal attacker is divorced.
Is divorced. That's good to know.
This
Thank
is not
you,
a
Rand.
good time to be magnanimous. We're dying to know.
Let me just, I want to go back to this one thing with Antifa. You know, on the one hand, the police in sanctuary cities, you know, basically they're told to stand down, that not assist their on immigration, their federal law enforcement brothers and sisters in, you know, deporting immigrants and arresting and detaining them. But now what we're seeing is that law enforcement is standing down when violence is occurring. When the police chief or the person in charge of the police says, you know, I don't have a problem with this liberal group. Let's let them do their thing. That's anarchy.
No, that happened in Charlottesville quite clearly, and then the police directed the people who had the permit for the rally straight into the hands of the Antifa. I mean, Cheryl. What's her middle name? I forget. Very left-wing reporter for the New York Times, Cheryl Gay Stolberg. That's who it is. She was live. She was tweeting live. She said the left is as violent as the right. By the way, this is not only the second attack on Rand Paul. This is the second Bernie Sanders supporters to kill someone this year. That guy on the train killed. Bernie Sanders supporters killed 2 people on a train earlier this year. All right, in Oregon.
And Coulter, always good to have you here. And thank you so much. And remember, we're keeping an eye on Hanoi, Vietnam, where President Bush. It's President Trump, guys, is meeting.